Change. When you want, you tell me and start.
Go.
Hola, buenas tardes para todos. Gracias por acompañarnos una vez más en Azure en el Bar. Esta iniciativa que nace con la idea de juntar a la comunidad de la TAM y acercarlo un poco más a Microsoft Corp, que junto a Javier Villegas, Cristobal Ibarra y Gaston Cruz hacemos un poco esto realidad, obviamente con todo el apoyo de la comunidad de la TAM, colegas, MVPs, y bueno, llevamos esto adelante entre todos. Como muestra de ello es que hoy nos acompaña Scott Hanselman, Partner Program Manager en Microsoft. Y bueno, los que tuvieron la oportunidad de ver el video de invitación que Scott nos brindó, habrán visto que él ya gastó todo su español en ese video. Así que a partir de ahora vamos a cambiar a inglés y espero que disfruten el capítulo. Okay. Hi Scott, welcome to Azure in el Bar. Thank you for accepting our invitation and allowing us to spend some time with you today. It's really a pleasure, and for me more, because I used to be a developer, or in fact, you never stop to being a developer. So it's a pleasure. Azure in the Bar is an initiative was born as a group of friends, colleagues from different countries in Latam, looking for a way to continue sharing and connecting with the community. And finally, for those who don't know me, my name is Rostan. I'm an Uruguayan currently living in Paraguay. I work as a country manager of Arcano Paraguay, a regional Microsoft partner company, and also as an AI technical leader with focus on democratizing artificial intelligence. That's the short story. And Gaston, good afternoon, and please let us know more about you.
Hello, community. How are you? My name is Gaston Cruz. I am really, really happy to be here in the Gold Edition. And, this is kind of starting with the crazy kind of linking between Donna Sarkar and Scott, the same tweet. I sent a tweet a while ago, invited Scott to hang out with us in this Azure in the bar, and he just jumped here. Just a little bit about myself. I moved to Bellevue, Washington. I am another Uruguayan lost in this part of the world. We moved with my family 1 year ago here. It's been a roller coaster since then. I work right now as a solution principal in Slalom, in the Microsoft COE company. I've been in the data platform world for my last 15 years, architecting solutions in different LATAM countries. I'm really passionate about connecting LATAM communities from different countries, Chile, Argentina, Brazil. So I'm really, really glad to all of us to be here. And as a friends, now we are talking with friends, with community, all the stuff. Let's go with Cristobal so he can introduce himself.
Thank you, Gaston. Hello, everybody. I'm happy to and grateful to be with you, Gaston, Javier, Alex, and Scott in this version of a new chapter of Azure in the bar. I live in Chile. I work as a digital data and analytics manager for Ernst & Young. I'm here because I used to work at Metric Cards company that was later acquired by Ernst & Young. So in addition to that, I participate actively in the past Chile community, also collaborate with the Power BI user group, which has already more than 3,000 users. We are very grateful for being able to collaborate with the LATAM community from now on. So thank you a lot and hope you enjoy here with us, Scott. So now please, my friend Javier, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Cristobal. Well, finally here, Javier Villegas from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Same here at the whole team. Extremely happy to host this gold edition of Azure in El Bar today with our main guest, Scott Hanselman. A little bit about myself. I work as a DBA manager for Mediterranean Shipping Company for the last 15 years. I'm an MVP, the data platform category, and member of the PAS community. Well, I really hope that everybody have fun today while we learn a bit from Scott. So thank you all for being here. Gaston?
Hey, okay, let's start it. I see that Scott is kind of looking around and say, okay, what's going on right now? So let's start the conversation. The very first thing is, first of all of us, we are really glad that Scott shared this kind of time with all the audience from LATAM countries. We have people saying thanks for every country in South America, Scott. So in this conversation, we are going to talk about stories, about history, about learning path, about advices for someone like Scott. So first questions for you, Scott, is tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell something about you. If you need to introduce to the LATAM community.
That's a tough question. Well, first of all, lo siento, yo no hablo español. Mi familia estamos aprendiendo español, pero es un idioma muy difícil. So, lo siento. Pero I've been writing software for 30 years. I'm old. And I've been at Microsoft now for only 13 years, which seems like a lot of time if you're old, if you're young rather, and a little time if you're old. Sometimes you tell someone who's 25, I've been working somewhere for 13 years, and they're like, wow. But I'm like, only 13 years. I remember what it was like to be not at Microsoft. I work out of Portland, Oregon, so I'm about 250 kilometers from Seattle,
Gotcha.
which means that I'm, outside of the Seattle Microsoft reality distortion field.
Yeah.
So I still remember what it's like to be not a Microsoft person. I've worked on Palm Pilots and on medical software, on banking software, and now I work on .NET and I work on Azure. And I do it all from my home. So I've been working remotely this entire time.
Got it. And you come back, go back and forward for the Redmond, for Bellevue.
Yeah, it's about a 3 or 4 hour drive. Before the apocalypse.
Yep.
So I haven't been up there since January, but now I don't know when I'll be up there again, maybe next year. But before I would go every month, just for
every month you have you
because it's not a big deal. You go up on Sunday and come back on like Wednesday.
Okay, let's move on with one question, Cristobal, from you.
Okay, thank you, Gaston. Scott, please could you tell me about how Azure influenced in your daily work? So ask a little bit about your thoughts related to Azure evolution as a cloud platform.
Am I allowed to share my screen, or will that mess up the recording?
I think you can.
You can.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can. Do we know what will happen?
Let's see.
maybe we're breaking something.
I try.
Find out if it breaks something.
We can try.
All right, because I don't know how you're pulling out the video.
It's okay. It's okay.
Let's find out. I'll look at the YouTube and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm doing the same here.
Cool. Let's see what happens. I'm looking at the YouTube.
It's okay.
Why do you have the captioning in English? You could have it doing automatic Spanish.
Well, that's a long story.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We've been trying a lot of things right now.
Yeah. It looks really good. Okay, cool. So the question that Cristobal was saying was about how I think about Azure. One of the things that I think is most interesting about it is if you look at this dashboard here, 10 years ago, a dashboard like this would be the kind of thing that someone who had a whole company, dozens of programmers, and maybe 100 people would have a dashboard like this. And you would have global scale with software running all over the world. You would have a picture of a map with pins in the map showing where all the offices were and all the data centers. But what's exciting about this is that I'm just one person. So the idea that one human can have like Hanselman Company, which is my website, my blog, my podcast, all of these things running all over the cloud, like there was a whole business behind this, and that I could go and look at a dashboard and see how much money I'm going to spend this month and watch my credits and worry about when I'm going to run out of money, and I can go and look at all these kind of statistics. I'm old enough to remember when the cloud was just a virtual machine in someone else's, building. And what I think that people don't understand about the cloud is it's the idea that you're renting computers, and I don't have to think about the hard drives. I don't have to think about the memory. The idea that I could go to my app service plans here, and you can see I have a Linux one with 5 apps and a Windows one with 14 apps. I'm running 19 different websites on 2 machines. And if I suddenly felt that the performance was not good, then I could change to a premium. And that's, again, one human being. In the past, that would have been a team. And if I needed to scale, I would have to call someone quickly and tell them, buy more memory, buy more hard drives, buy more processors. That's the power of the cloud. It's the idea that it's elastic, it's flexible, and the idea that it is programmatic, that I can write code to make the resources appear. Once people understand that aspect of things, that you're not just renting computers, I think that your understanding of the cloud becomes better and more powerful.
Okay.
Alex?
Yeah. I have a little question, but what do you think about Microsoft involvement with open source communities, and how that affects your activities?
Well, I came here to Microsoft 13 years ago to open source everything. So I'm here to open source everything, and I came here to do this open source. So people are asking me, like, what do I think about the journey? That's why I'm here. That was the whole point, was to open source everything. So if I'm ever fired, if you ever hear the news, oh yeah, they fired Hanselman, it's because I open source too much. Right? Maybe I open source Windows and then I just run. So that's that we are doing exactly what I said we would do. It just took longer than I thought it would. I thought it would take 5 or 6 years, and it's taken 13 or 15.
Right. But that was your main goal. The main goal for you was to open source in Microsoft.
Yeah, because before Microsoft, I was working at a bank that was doing like large North American retail banking, like taking it, like, how you can take a photograph of a check, and that's a miracle, right?
Yeah.
Well, 15 years ago, that was the hardest thing ever. It was a very amazing technology. So to take a photograph, upload that, that was a big deal. Banks don't like open source because they think that they made something and it's secret and it's special. And they don't want the other bank to know about their secret.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I was trying to explain to the banks that we're using open source. We were using Log4Net. We were using NUnit. We were using cruisecontrol.net 20 years ago. Why are we not giving back to the open source community? So I was introducing open source to the banks when Microsoft called me and then said, hey, let's come work at Microsoft and maybe we'll start open sourcing stuff. And that's when we started open sourcing ASP.NET MVC.
Well, basically, to me, it doesn't seem like it was like 15 years ago. It was like actually yesterday. So when, what we see around, or what we get from this side of the world is that, okay, Microsoft is completely a different new company, right?
Yeah.
And, I'm coming from the data platform area. So seeing SQL Server running on a Linux machine is something that, I never thought I'm going to be seeing this in my whole life, right? And then, open sourcing .NET, the toolings now related to data platform, Azure Data Studio, the whole, solution, Visual Studio Code, that whole initiative is tremendous. So, my perception is that it's not too long that the whole thing has started. But definitely it's a huge job. we were talking before with my friend here, and definitely, the possibility of having options is what makes the company and the offering much more aggressive and something to pay attention. Right?
If you look at the comments in the YouTube, we see that Jorge Levy says, if we open source everything, what is the business model? This is a really good question. So ask yourself today, where does Microsoft get their money from? I'm not selling you .NET.
No.
I don't even sell you Visual Studio.
Yeah, because you don't need it. You don't need to sell any kind of product right now.
I don't have to sell anything.
Yeah. That's the main why, because it's not about closing or open the source of software. I think it's more like provide the platform and do whatever you want with the platform. Right now, every enterprise company, they're moving SAP to Azure. And I years ago, I cannot imagine that's going to happen, that you can move SAP to Azure.
But it's SAP as a service.
Yeah.
And in the last 10 years, we moved Office to a subscription.
Yeah.
Xbox, Game Pass.
Yep.
Right. Windows 10 is one long version. Microsoft doesn't care, I don't think, what programming language you use.
Yeah.
The way I like to phrase it is Microsoft wants your for loop. They will run your for loop in the cloud, Node, Ruby, C, C++, Java, I don't care.
Whatever you...
Microsoft sells compute today. Xbox, Office, Azure. We can open source it all.
Yeah.
You can today open a business, use .NET, use Visual Studio, put it on Amazon. You don't pay Microsoft a penny. So how do I make money? Well, I make money by making Azure better. So then you like, oh man, I got to move to Azure.
Yeah, that happens as Javier was mentioning before. In our world, kind of my world, data platform world, if you see Synapse right now, you doesn't care about if you are running Spark or you're using SQL on them, or you're coding in any kind of language and do the ETL processing in whatever you want in terms of languages, because you're using the power of compute in the Azure platform. So in the Synapse world, it's kind of the same. The same happens there. And you can bring all the data warehouse and do whatever you want in terms of the ETL processing, transformation, shaping the data, and do whatever you want in the language that you are more comfortable, or you have the scenarios or the use cases to do that. So that is awesome. And I see that Ivana Chilca from Córdoba, Argentina, is there in our audience in YouTube, and Ivana is working with AI, and in the AI world, doesn't matter if you are doing whatever language you're using the compute of the platform of Azure itself. So I don't know, Javier, do you want to move with our question for our gold guest today?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing about tacos.
No.
You want to?
Tacos, chiles, enchiladas, and those kind of things. We're gonna get after, but
chiles de árbol.
So we and the audience would like to know if you can tell us about one challenging project or kind of impactful situation that affect or change your professional career in the last 30 plus years.
Challenging. I mean,
for good or for bad, huh? So I mean, something that you remember that may affect your professional career for good or for bad.
I don't know. Challenging, for me, challenging feels like it could be impossible, or maybe more than difficult. Like there's a slider bar ha sido difícil, and then challenging is beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that means, like, was there something that I couldn't accomplish that I would fail at? I never felt that I would fail because I had a team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, if you have a team, you're not alone. I think the most important thing that we can do for new developers or old developers is make them feel like they can't fail because there's a team behind them.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been very lucky or very blessed to have a team with me. So I always felt like it was hard, but possible to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish. Like right now, before this call, I was in a conversation about Ignite, the Microsoft conference that we're going to have, and it's going to be challenging. It's going to be hard. If the internet stays up, we will succeed because we have a team. So I think it will be hard, but I don't think it's going to be impossible, and I don't feel like I'm going to fail. I guess I've never really had that feeling.
By the way, we all watched you at the conference in Build, and that was tremendous.
Thank you very much.
You can notice from this side of the screen, the whole team working as a whole just to accomplish that, which was, really challenging or difficult, as you said. But yeah, I mean, it was a tremendous thing accomplished. So, I can only congratulate you and your team, and for sure it's going to be at least the same at Ignite. But of course, we're going to be all watching.
Yeah, figure out.
Yeah, for sure.
We're trying to figure out now what to do differently, because you don't want to do the same thing again. But we're all still stuck in our houses, and what does a virtual conference look like? Like, did you see the Apple conference, WWDC?
Yeah.
It was like they were standing in space, and cameras were zooming around. It was like a virtual stage. Like, I don't know. I mean, like, it was cool, but like, is that what we want? Is that the right way?
It's more like it was more like a cinema or Oscar-like conference than a technology conference. Maybe that was what I felt.
Yeah.
No, but definitely what we saw at Build was huge, and well, being in front of an audience in previous Build, I'm a member of the past community, so I've been in the past summit for the last 12 years. It's a different thing, so you can, let's say, have new things or explore new things, but on this virtual world that we are living today, well, do different things, I believe is really challenging.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that.
And again, it's kind of one thing that I really enjoy for the business application summit or the Build is kind of the engagement with the community all the time. When you switch between different, as you mentioned, Scott, like different teams. If you switch your camera to Donna Sarkar, then to Seth, then to another person, and then you engage with communities worldwide, and you involve someone from different countries. So if you involve someone from South Africa, and then you involve someone from England, and then you involve someone from Australia, different time zones, and
great.
everybody, it's kind of the proximity that you get. That proximity that you get is kind of amazing.
The whole point of the internet, of the lighting, of the camera, is to make it feel like we are only 1 feet away and not in 5 different countries.
Yeah.
And if we're not using technology to feel closer to people, then what are we doing?
Yeah, that's right.
As a side note, this get-together mode in Teams is huge.
Yeah.
I don't like the background stuff because it doesn't look like real.
But you have a terrible. Oh man.
Yeah. The head is not right. The arm, there's.
We were discussing about that.
It just doesn't work.
That doesn't
It's
work.
gonna be better.
That doesn't allow you to have that proximity. It's
But
kind
that's
of
not
great.
That's not what my head is shaped like. It just doesn't look good. So together mode looks weird to me, in my opinion.
I believe it's gonna improve, definitely.
I know it will improve, definitely, but there's a lot of local processing.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, jumping here with our next question, and that's gonna be, Scott. What's from your thinking? What is going to be the next big move in terms of technology? What do you feel that this is gonna be a game changer? This is gonna be for me. This is gonna be the game changer, and maybe your advice is let's say to the people that they are there in our YouTube channel, try to jump here, try to jump and start learning this kind of stuff, because this is happening. And I'm not talking about let's go to Mars like SpaceX right now. I'm talking about something that we can bring to the whole community.
Like this is I've got an old Surface Pro 3 here. Right? It's like 5 years old.
Yeah.
And it works great. I like it. It's my favorite machine, but it's like 5 years old, right? I think that something like Code Spaces, Visual Studio Code Spaces, where I can run Visual Studio here and compile in the cloud. Where it splits in half, where I don't even have .NET installed. I don't even have Node installed, and the work happens in the cloud. That seems really powerful. That way I can use an older machine. I don't have to spend $3,000 or some stupid amount of money for another computer just to make things compile faster. I can use the power of the cloud to do that work.
You can still use your old computer for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's a terminal. We go back to terminals.
Terminal, yeah.
It's a fat terminal. It's a smart terminal.
What's wrong?
Hey, it's all that you live long enough and it all comes back around,
Yeah, that is good.
Well, first of all, we have a lot of people from all LATAM right now, from Argentina, Uruguay, Colombia, Brazil, friends friends that have before in Azure in the bar. So it's very, very grateful. Well, I have one question, other question for you, Scott. After background checks, can you tell us a little bit about you enjoying stand-ups? Can we say that maybe a next version of Friends?
Sorry, you're breaking up. I didn't hear that. Can you say it again?
Oh, yes. Yes, sorry. So I am after a background. Can you tell us a little bit about you enjoying stand-ups?
Sorry, stand-ups?
Yes, stand-ups.
Like the community stand-ups?
No, we saw you. I mean, we were watching your background and doing a background
comedy.
check.
Comedy
saw
stand-ups.
you as a comedian.
Sorry. Lo siento.
Yeah,
No problem.
Mi culpa. No, I haven't done stand-up in a while. Now I do stand-up comedy. ¿Cómo se dice stand-up comedy en español?
Same.
There is no translation. Yeah.
Unipersonal podría ser.
Stand-up.
No. Stand-up comedy.
No. Here in Argentina is stand-up.
Chile, stand-up comedy. It's okay.
Yeah.
Muy interesante.
Yeah.
Don't you say like stand-up?
Stand-up.
Yeah.
Like this, stand-up.
Stand-up. So you're in Argentina maybe, or España.
That makes sense, yeah.
So I think that I use that kind of stuff for my presentations, to keep it light, because people want to be reminded that you're human And if you give a talk at Build or a presentation, if you can keep it light, then the tone, the vibe, if you can keep the vibe light, then you use your stand-up, skills to be more inclusive. Because you put on a different role, right? Have you ever seen my YouTube?
Yeah.
It's
Yes,
more quiet, more calm, and like the voice is different. The radio voice. Hey, we're on my YouTube now. We're going to talk about Git. And that's a different voice than the Build voice, and that's a different voice than the stand-up voice, because they're different audiences.
But you have to practice to get that, right? I mean, a lot. You have to have a background to be able to accomplish that.
Yeah, I think the point I'm making is to be intentional, to be deliberate about what you're doing. You don't just show up at an event and start talking. You see? You think about, is this a business meeting? Is it a family? Is it a big group? Is it a small group? Is it young people? Are they old people? Are they new programmers? Do they want a whack? Hey, everybody, sábado gigante de .net. Is that what they want? Or, hey, we're going to talk about .net today. These are different characters. So stand-up comedy, to Cristobal's point, is a skill that you can turn on or off depending on the audience.
Yeah, okay.
Does that make sense? And I think many people, they just show up. They just show up and they go, hello, I'm going to talk about C#. Here's some visual, blah, blah. And another way to think about it is to, hang on, everyone just.
Yeah, just switch. We are switching places. We are switching countries, places here. It's kind of strange.
So, your camera's, there you go, now you're back. So if you think about who should I be, which part of my personality should I turn on today for this meeting or this presentation or this character? Is it comedy? Is it drama? Is it telenovela? I don't know.
It's a telenovela.
And Scott, what was your expectation from this meeting before you jump into this?
I thought I was going to be giving a presentation.
Yeah, yeah. And
I thought I was going to be sharing my screen and showing you something and like dramatic.
But you had it ready.
I thought it would be a telenovela, and I'd be like, Maria. Es muy importante recordar este código es completamente .net puro. I don't know.
That is amazing, Scott. Yeah.
So, is there any chance we see you in any comedy on TV, national TV, or something like that in the future?
Some soap opera.
My comedy is limited to YouTube, but I'll send you a link to my JavaScript comedy. That I did a little while ago, so I'll find you a link to that. Here it is. I'll put that in the chat.
Okay, great. We're going to share it with the audience.
There you go. I put that in the chat.
And maybe this is a way to increase your YouTube channel, Scott.
My YouTube channel.
That is the way to increase the YouTube channel with something about soap opera. Soap opera from Scott Hanselman. That is maybe the next move for you.
Monday night of Scott.
I cannot imagine you and Scott Guthrie doing a soap opera together in the next YouTube channel. It's kind of
that would be interesting. I don't know.
That could be interesting.
The people have a question in the channel. Say, where can buy the T-shirt that say include everyone?
Include everyone.
Yeah, you can Google that and find that online. I have lots of inclusive T-shirts.
Nice. Very nice.
I see a question we missed here from Jorge Levy asking, what is India doing that LATAM is not doing? That's
That's an
interesting
question.
Yeah.
I have a guess,
Uh-huh.
because I think that India is doing the same thing that the U.S. is not doing, and it's the universities. The way that they do their focus on college degrees is very, very intense. So I think that if, whichever countries decide to educate the people the most in tech careers will be successful, and I think India did a good job with that.
And regarding that, Scott, I saw a video that you did with Winnet at the Azure Friday the other day.
Oh yeah, she's great.
A couple of weeks, and I want to mention that. I wanted your opinion about that, because she mentioned about certifications versus college degrees. And what is your thought about that? What is your thought in terms of the learning path in terms of careers? If you want to recommend for the communities in LATAM, they should go with the certifications, learning path, Microsoft Learn, or college degree?
Both. College degree is more. The college degree is more important.
Yeah,
I've always believed that if you know, this is my opinion, so I could be wrong. If you know the material, the certification is easy. The problem with certifications are when they are expensive. So if a certification is the price of a movie ticket, great. But if a certification is the price of a laptop, that's bad. And if a certification is the same price worldwide, that's bad, right? Because $100 here is not $100 in India, et cetera, and it's not fair. Because then it's called gatekeeping.
Microsoft is addressing that question because the different, the new certification related to Azure roles is changing the price depending on the country, I noticed that as a good thing. As you said, it's not the same price all around the world, so definitely something to
exactly.
applaud.
I think it's important to make sure that that's something that is reasonable and fair to the local currency. But what I worry about are when people, they save their last dollar, their last penny, their last peso, and the family sells the house so I can get an Azure certificate. That's the wrong idea.
Doesn't have any sense.
That's not fair, and the certificate will only ever get you an interview. It will never get you the job.
It's gonna be your front facing just to get the interview, but not to get the job. Yeah, you're right. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been hearing some of the chat here, and one of the proposals maybe for Ignite is that maybe you can join Scott Goody with the slippers.
With what?
With the
Guthrie,
slippers.
with what?
With the guy.
Guthrie's like he's so famous boss type, He knows he's too busy to talk to me anymore. He's younger than I am.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a child. He's like I'm like 6 months older than him.
So,
Franco Valle is asking about lightsabers on the wall.
There's
you were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, there's actually two things here. So first, there are lights on the wall that I can change the color of based on the mood. Those are not lightsabers; they're just lights. But
that's a good one. That is a lightsaber.
That is an actual lightsaber.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
I got that at a user group. That's a .NET purple lightsaber.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's super rich.
And check this out. Ivana is asking us, which is your favorite thing in your office right now?
It's all my favorite. I like the arcade. That's
Yeah.
cool. I like the tiny arcade,
The tiny,
That's
good.
the Raspberry Pi.
That's very good.
That's a tiny arcade with a Raspberry Pi. This is an arcade that's a Game Boy
Oof.
in a 3D printed case with a Raspberry Pi inside.
Oh, wow.
That's
Right.
good.
That's cool. And then there's a bigger arcade.
Wow.
That's a
The
good
adult
different size arcade.
adult.
Yeah.
In the arcade that you have back, it's one game or you have many games?
All the games.
All the games. Okay.
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of
Games. What is your favorite game?
What's that?
Your favorite games?
To play in the
Probably Metal Slug.
arcade.
Metal Slug.
Wow.
Metal Slug.
It's a good
You know?
game. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a bunch of retro gaming. If you go to my blog and search for retro arcade, I'll put it in the chat. I have a bunch of things about retro arcades and how you can make them and do them yourself at a good price. So I put that in the chat. Yeah, so those are my favorite things, I think.
That's a good one.
Are the mini arcades connected to Azure somehow? Because
No, there's no there. They're all separate and disconnected, and they do their own thing.
Got it.
Okay. No, because we also notice again from the data platform perspective the whole move to the edge, right? So being able to run SQL Server on a Raspberry Pi and have the same SQL footprint on it, an Exchange event, etc. So maybe you were doing kind of something similar with your arcades and.
Well, I do have some things that are connected to Azure, like this is a small device that shows my blood sugar for my diabetes. Yeah. I have this on my blog. I explain it. So it turns green, yellow, and red, and shows a number for my blood sugar. That way, the children and my wife can see how my blood sugar is if I have any trouble.
I think I saw a video from you doing kind of a demo of IoT, that IoT device. I think it was in a conference a while ago where
I've
you
done
can
a number of them. I have implants to keep track of my blood sugar. So in the body with a Bluetooth, and it talks to the cloud, and it goes into MongoDB.
There's another question from Gonzalo that I don't want to miss that from the YouTube channel. Gonzalo was asking us, what is your vision about the necessary competencies that should be instructed in university in Latin America? What do you feel about that? About what is the right way to go at the path for universities that are in Latam? What do you think that we should change in Latin America, or something different in terms of instructions?
I struggle a little bit with my opinion about what we should learn in schools because I'm getting older and I'm almost 50. So I believe that new people don't have an understanding of the history of computer science. And it would be helpful if they understood the why as well as the how. I really like the history of computer science. For example, I was doing some Git debugging recently, and I saw some carriage returns line feed, CRLF. But if you ask a younger person, what's a carriage return?
They don't.
What's
they
a
don't.
carriage?
No, did that.
Well, I mean, it sits on the typewriter, and you type, and you go ding.
Yep.
Line feed.
Yeah.
So why am I in 2020 thinking about carriage returns and line feeds?
Mhm.
Today we just teach them, set it to false or set it to true, and then don't ever think about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we've given young, early in career people an Uber or Taxify or whatever, but then the car breaks down and there's no one to change the tire.
Yeah.
You follow the analogy?
Yeah. It's just taking the shortcut.
So teaching someone to drive a manual shift car doesn't mean that they have to drive a manual shift car.
Exactly.
They can drive an
Yeah.
automatic. They can take a bus. They can take a bicycle. But I think that there's some value in learning how to do that. So in computer science class, I think we have computer science and the theory of computer science, and then a line, and then software engineering, which is the practice of creating software, project management, Scrum, working in a team. We don't teach that stuff in school. We teach operating systems, algorithms, and data structures, which is not what I do in my daily work. So I think that there needs to be a reconcile of computer science and software engineering, and a third thing, which is the history of computers. And like young people, early in career people, like don't realize that everything is a computer. You know,
Today it is. Yeah.
there's more power in this watch than there was in my first computer by a factor of 1,000.
That's right.
So when you say that, we all laugh. But why? What do I do with that information? How can knowing that make me a better programmer? Thinking about performance, thinking about memory, thinking about allocation, right? So then you take that to the original beginning of the conversation around Azure. And you say, how is Azure different than someone else's computer in a room that I can't see? Well, the performance is different. The disks are different. You're not really talking to a disk. You're talking to a networked attached storage. You know, your CPU might be actually a little bit slower than it is locally because it's being shared. It's being virtualized. Those conversations should be taught in school. This is my opinion.
Knowing history better will definitely help or improve what we are trying to achieve, right? To get the end goal. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's applied history.
Yeah,
right?
yes.
So it's the why. It's not just, hey, here's some history. This happened, right? It's this is some history and why we can learn from that.
That's good.
Yeah. I wish I could talk I wish I could give this in Spanish, and I'm sorry. I wish.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
Simpler English to make sure people can understand.
We are in the mix between English and Spanish all the time. And what do you feel in terms of what is your perception about right now LATAM communities? If I ask you, okay, what do you feel about LATAM community? What are you thinking that what's going on there? What is going on in LATAM? Because one of our main goals here with the Azure Bar was trying to, let's try to connect Corp, Microsoft, Redmond, Silicon Valley, Seattle. Let's try to get those people connecting to LATAM communities. So the question is,
can you hang on for just one moment? I hear my son crying.
Of course.
No worries.
Go.
Just hit pause. So here we are, Azure en el Bar, live edition, gold edition. Hope you guys all are enjoying this conversation with Scott Hanselman as much as we do. So can you guys share what you're feeling today? Because I'm kind of crazy.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy for everybody here.
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
I'm just making
worries.
sure that the boy is okay.
Yeah, no worries.
The kids are first.
You know what?
So the question for you was kind of your sense of LATAM communities. What do you feel about LATAM communities and the connection that you have between? How do you feel Microsoft Corp between LATAM communities?
I mean, I feel nothing but positive things. I think I feel the same thing about the LATAM community that I feel sometimes with the Asian community. Mm-hmm. I feel bad that sometimes English is a barrier to being seen. I think there are really good open source projects, really great bloggers, really cool people in the non-English speaking, non-Europe, not America, not US. And then if you are not a perfect English speaker, then we, the English speakers, don't give enough respect. Mm-hmm. And I feel sad about that. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying it's not your problem, right? It's ultimately our problem. But this same thing happens in China and in Japan. If you don't speak great English, people treat you different. Just for the same reason that I'm not giving this speech in Spanish, because I would be embarrassed. So I'm appreciative of you all speaking in English to me. It's a gift that you're giving me. And when someone comes to the English-speaking world with great code and a great blog post, but maybe a word is used incorrectly, we should be more kind and more forgiving, as you are when I do my bad Spanish. So I wish I knew a way to make the communities in Asia and in the Spanish-speaking world and like the French-speaking world more connected so that we can share more code. And I don't know how to solve that. So I don't mean to like get depressing at the end of the talk here, but I feel like English is a huge barrier in global success. And that sucks.
Yeah. And it's kind of that happens a lot for the community when we talk with people, with leaders of user groups in different communities in LATAM. The last time I invited to Cristobal, he's running a user group in Chile, and I invited Donna Sarkar to get a keynote in that user group. And she did an amazing job. She did an amazing job doing the keynote for that user group in the Power Platform user group in Chile. And same happens with Charles Sterling from Microsoft, Power Apps. He brings some speech, really good speech in English and mixing with some Colombian Spanish with the user group with Alex Rostan in Paraguay. And it's kind of grateful how appreciative our communities are with someone like you, Scott, that jump to this kind of cause, this kind of informative conversations to tell us a little bit about your thoughts, about your career, about your history, about this kind of. We are really glad to have you on board with these kind of things, and I really appreciate that. We all are kind of really excited right now. Yesterday, Cristobal was mentioning, I studied from a book that Scott wrote a while ago in the college. Such
a bad book.
Yeah. So right now, his
to
face
hold
is
my monitor now. It's just.
It's kind of again great. Javier, I don't know if you want to move on with the kind of next challenge for Scott.
Yeah. So basically, on that line of trying to engage people from Microsoft, from Corp, to the LATAM community, today we would like to start some sort of a challenge. It's more a challenge to us than to you, but we would like you, if you can probably suggest someone we should go and knock the door and invite to our show here for the whole LATAM community. So if you have any names, we won't say your name. Believe me.
Yeah, sure. I can email you a bunch of ideas.
Okay. Yeah. Again, we would like to engage them all here and see how we can enrich and empower, our communities here. So, well, a little bit based on that challenge, and in this situation, we would also like to announce our next Gold Edition, right, which is going to be in October the 8th, right? And we're going to be hosting Rohan Kumar, Corporate Vice President of Azure Data. So he will join us here. And well, I believe that is going to be close to Ignite. So most probably we're going to be talking about Ignite and some of the news or things that he can share with us, roadmaps or news technique, whatever he can. So then definitely we will use your list and we'll try to invite as many as we have. So again, one more time, thank you for being here today. Alex, it's all yours.
Okay, for the last, Scott again. Thank you for your time. Thank you for stay with us. I hope you enjoy as we do in that conversation and in that chapter of Azure en el Bar. And thank you again. I'm gonna change to Spanish again to say goodbye to the all Latam community. Gracias a todos por habernos acompañado. Espero que hayan disfrutado tanto como lo hicimos nosotros. Creo que se notó en toda la conversación lo que disfrutamos, y de vuelta gracias a Scott por haberse sumado a esta iniciativa. Y bueno, los esperamos el próximo 3 de septiembre con otra mesa con grandes invitados y la presentación del siguiente capítulo. Muchas gracias a todos, que tengan una buena noche.
Thank you very much again, Scott. Gracias. Thank you so much to be here.
Bye bye.